first up from Rain. Any advice on what to do regarding an asexual person who wants a spouse? I see so much support for homosexuality and such, but I don't know where to turn to for help with asexuality.
That's tough because just like I was talking about in the other segment, there is exclusion taking place in the LGBT community for asexual people too. I would say just throw yourself into a community. There is a subreddit for everything out there. There's a subreddit for like bi support, for LGBT support, for gay and lesbian support, for trans support, everything. So find one out there that's made up of people who have common experiences to you. That would be my advice to you about it.
This one coming from a cringy trap. Telltale, what do you think of Pascal's wager?
I actually talked about this recently on Twitter. So I posted a picture of myself with my coffee cup. Let me pull the Twitter conversation up. Okay, so this was the Twitter conversation. I posted a picture of my coffee cup that says, "We all die and there is no God, get over it." In reality, I don't make a claim like that. That is a little bit strong. It's kind of an edgy cup. It's just meant to be edgy. It's not meant to be serious. But I don't know. I like the cup. Anyways, somebody commented on it and said, "Only thing is, if you're wrong, eternity is a hell of a long time." So I retweeted them and said, "Are you throwing Pascal's wager at me? What if you're wrong? We could both be wrong. Maybe Islam is right. Maybe Hinduism is right. Maybe Sikhs are right. Eternity is a hell of a long time. Why don't you go pray to Vishnu just to be extra sure?" That's a pretty good summary of my feelings on Pascal's wager. It makes sense at its face. A lot of logical fallacies make sense at their face. When somebody says, for example, "I cheated on my taxes," and somebody else says, "Oh my God, that's so wrong. I can't believe you would do that." And then the other person responds, "What are you talking about? You cheated on your taxes." It makes sense. That response makes sense at face value. But that's a logical fallacy. You are not addressing their criticisms. You're addressing their criticisms with a criticism of them. That's called the tu quoque logical fallacy, I think. Pascal's wager makes sense at its face, but when you start factoring in all of the gods across all of time, with Pascal's wager, when you hear it, typically, they're not saying it's better to believe in a god than not to believe in a god. They're saying it's better for you to believe in the Christian God a lot of the time, because I live in the US, and anytime I hear that, it's almost always from a Christian. Almost. That in itself is just completely logically fallacious. Like, there are so many other options. Like I said in the tweet, there's Hinduism, there's Islam, there's Buddhism, there are all kinds of other types. I could be wrong, but you could be wrong too. Everybody could be wrong. Maybe there are actually space aliens who created us. Who knows? You know, I mean, evidence does point one way or another. Like, we know for a fact how the universe began. I mean, we can create simulations and models that perfectly predict what's going to happen in space and in time with the Big Bang. So we don't really need, I mean, I guess you could say a god started the Big Bang, but the claims of Christianity about how the worlds began are objectively false. Like, we can prove that the earth is older than however old Christians claim, or extremist Christians claim it is. We know for a fact that the earth is older than 10,000 years. Like Ken Ham says, like Kent Hovind says, like Ray Comfort says. It's just objectively not. It is older than that, bottom line.
This one coming from Voice2 did everything wrong. Telltale, which video did you have the most fun working on?
All right, honestly, this is how video production works, right? Sometimes I will like sit down and I'll start writing a script and I'll be so happy with the outcome of it. I'm like, this is like gold. I absolutely love how this thing turned out. I will record it. I'll put the drawings in and everything else, and it just looks perfect to me. And I upload it and then it just flops. it's like YouTube, this isn't necessarily YouTube's fault either. This is just kind of how like social media works. You never know what's going to fail and what's going to succeed. Sometimes you're just taking an endless series of shots in the dark. That's what social media is all about. That's what YouTube is all about at the very least. And it's really, really complicated. And it's disheartening too, because some of the videos that I've worked on, like for example, I really liked my Is Kent Hovind a Cult Leader video. I was so happy with that when I made it. And what are Mennonites? Are Mennonites a cult? I think I did one of those at one point too. And I just loved it. Like I was so happy with the script. I was so happy with all of it. But yeah, did not do any better than any other video that I've ever put out. Some of the highest ranking videos that I've done were just really, really old Jehovah's Witness videos. Like my daughter, Alpha Force Zero, Kylie, her first appearance on my channel got the most views out of any video ever. It's like, it's approaching 1 million views now.
This one's coming from Glenn. Do you think that the Democrats should have outed the whistleblower like the Republicans have been demanding?
No, that's ridiculous. I mean, what a ridiculous thing to propose. I mean, that's what the Republicans are proposing. They want the Democrats to out the whistleblower. Why? The whistleblower is so completely irrelevant. Just exclude them from everything. In fact, you know what? Just throw out anything that they provided. Just get rid of it. We don't even need it. We have the sworn testimony under oath of like 10 different people, firsthand accounts of something that Trump said to them personally. Like, we don't even need the whistleblower. The only thing the whistleblower did was get all of this attention. That's it. They just brought attention to the issue, and people started coming out of the woodwork and talking about it. That's all we needed, was for people to start talking about it, and they are. Why is the whistleblower's identity relevant in any way? Like, they don't even have to take part in the trial or anything anymore. They don't have to be involved at all if they don't want to. I think they are going to be. A lot of the time you see people building narratives. You see them build narratives about this thing or that thing, like defenses. It's just like it's a law case. Like you're in the court of law, and they start with a conclusion that Trump is innocent, for example, or whatever. And they use the facts to support that conclusion. That's not how it should be done at all. That's kind of how politics works, honestly. Like all politics, it seems, in my experience. Why does it work that way? It seems like we should be taking the logical route, gathering the facts, and building a conclusion from there. If you like what I do and you want to make sure I can continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, you can support me on Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. I'm trying to make a shirt design for every cult I've covered. I haven't gotten every one, but I'm working on it. So check it out and see if your cult is up there. Second, you can support me by checking out my game shop. I sell controller, cartridge, and game box stands for every system from the original Nintendo and Sega Game Gear to the Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. So give that a look too. And finally, if you want to support me in some way other than monetarily, you can check out my other YouTube channels. I have a retro game channel where I answer questions like, why does Shy Guy have a mask? And why are CRT TVs the best way to play retro games? I also have the podcast where I talk about stuff I don't feel I can say on a monetized channel. And finally, I have my main channel where I talk about cults. I wish I didn't have to worry about dancing around subjects carefully in the first place, but I chose to do this as a full-time job, so unfortunately I rely on YouTube's AdSense and on the support of patrons to continue doing the work I do. Anyways, check me out in all those places if you haven't already. Thanks for listening, guys.